Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, we have to talk about the price of Bitcoin. And even if you don't hold Bitcoin and you just hold altcoins, we need to know what the hell Bitcoin's going to do next because the market moves with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the rising tide that lifts all boats. And right now, Bitcoin is sitting at $63,302 at the time of recording, not looking too great on the daily and the weekly and so forth. But of course, if you're a subscriber to this podcast, we don't just look at the hourly, daily, and weekly. We're looking at the macro, months, quarters, years, and so forth, because that's how you can make money in this crypto market, unless you're leverage trading. And I don't recommend that. I just do spot trading and swing trading, but I don't leverage and play around with the daily and hourly and so forth. So right now, Bitcoin in the daily, guys, is extremely oversold, and that's a great sign. Many of you know when we hit those extremes, whether it's overbought or oversold, we're going to have a move in the opposite direction. So right now, Bitcoin on the RSI is at that bottom zone, folks. So we should see some sort of bounce soon. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow or next week. This could play out over the next couple of weeks. So that's a good sign. That means some sort of move in the opposite direction is coming. And remember when I've been telling you guys that the fear and greed index, people were so greedy. We hit that greedy zone, especially with Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs before the halving, meme coins going crazy. So we needed a cool down, and Bitcoin has moved from greedy to neutral. Great sign. Now, we could see a further dump, maybe down to 60K, and that drives us to fear. That's possible, but it's not necessary because if you look at the RSI, once again, Bitcoin is near that super oversold scenario. So Bitcoin at neutral, which is great. So the sentiment is there where it can do a reversal. And here, one analyst, Credible Crypto, shared a great chart kind of in alignment with what I'm saying here. He says, once again, no change to the higher time frame idea, expecting 60K to hold and our next impulse to start soon. So that impulse is upwards. Now, when he's saying 60K support, that's the support level I've been telling you guys about for a while, that if it breaks that, I'm going to say something has been invalidated here, right? This bull market is very different, but we have not been invalidated, folks, even though the sentiment is getting from greed to neutral and possibly over to fear soon. And there's been a lot of selling, but that's okay. The liquidity will flow out of the alts. Many alts are bleeding against Bitcoin right now. It will flow back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin will pump. Then when Bitcoin hits its overbought scenario, right, same way that it's oversold right now, the liquidity will flow back to the alts. So he says here, certain alts like Matic, Curve, and ETH, for example, are holding up incredibly well on this low time frame drop on Bitcoin. I expect those alts to have a window here to outperform as Bitcoin tightens up and bases here for the next impulse. Now, on his chart, he said, if we get past the red zone or we see an impulse on Bitcoin, then the timeline speeds up. Otherwise, I think we get a small window for select outperformance here before the grand finale on Bitcoin begins. So the Ethereum spot ETFs are around the corner. So this could be Ethereum's chance to move. So that's a scenario as well where a lot of liquidity enters Ethereum because the ETH Bitcoin chart is actually looking bullish. And as the analyst said here, Ethereum is actually holding up really well, given that alts are bleeding out right now. But guys, we are still in a bull market. We are still in an uptrend. So check your emotions at the door and just look at the data. And until something is invalidated, then we'll have to adjust our thesis. And remember, we don't have a crystal ball. Many people come into crypto and investment with the lottery mindset. Oh, I'm going to know the winning numbers tomorrow night or next week. That's not how investing works. And you have to change your mindset. Now, Rect Fencer, another analyst here, shared a great chart. I love it. He highlighted the 2020-2021 bull market cycle where the sentiment went to euphoria and everybody was like, it's going higher and higher and higher. And we know in that euphoria stage, that's when you want to be selling and you want to be exiting out. And the juxtaposition of that is on that same chart, he's showing the current cycle that we're in, where we had the run up in 2023 and this year's run up so far. And you see people are in disbelief, right? They were saying in 2023, this is the biggest bull trap in history. They were absolutely wrong. And then right now in this time period, it says bull run is over. The bull market's over, right? they're wrong. So, guys, you have to look at multiple factors, the charts, the sentiments, and even the macro. Now, here's another great chart from another analyst showing Bitcoin in comparison to 2016, 2020, essentially the years where there was a halving and that you had these highly volatile moves and where there was cool down periods and people would get scared and so forth. But we're on the cusp of another breakout where Bitcoin will continue to move. It's not going to move to 100K overnight or in 1 week. It will happen gradually as it works its way out of this cool down period. So you got to look at the macro, guys. Step away from the hourly, the daily, and the weekly and look at the macro. It's so important, and patience is so important when it comes to investing. Now, here's another indicator, and this was shared by Kevin Cage, the Bitcoin Pi Cycle Top Indicator. Now, when this indicator crosses, it usually indicates that we are at the top, and it has worked out perfectly historically, going back to 2013, 2014, 2017, 2020. When we had that cross, it was a signal the top is in. Now, we are getting very close, but it hasn't fully crossed yet. So these are the different signals and factors you have to look at, folks. And this is why it's not about your emotions or your feelings. It's about the data. What is the data telling us, even if there is fear in the market? Because fear can appear in bull markets, guys, because nothing moves up in a straight line. And once you understand these principles, and I had to learn these things, and it really helped me to make money in the market. And I'm trying to share that knowledge to you guys. I'm trying to give back that knowledge to you guys because it is about knowledge. And when you understand these factors, you can go and form a thesis and understand with data and facts what you're talking about, right? Because sometimes you'll see people leave comments, but they don't back it up with facts. They just move by emotions. Oh, the market's down, it's over. Well, is it because you feel that way? Or is it the data telling us that? So this is another great indicator showing us it's not over. Now, I've just mentioned the macro, right? The global liquidity index, and this data is actually from the Financial Times. We are on the rise again. I've been sharing this for months with you guys. The global liquidity index shows the amount of liquidity being put into the markets from different countries and central banks, not just the United States. And we are seeing a reversal, folks. And if you go back and look at the data, this coincides with the presidential elections, the four-year cycles with the Bitcoin halving and so forth. So this is going to continue to trend upwards. And you may say, Tony, how do you know that? Well, let's look at the Fed. What is the Fed doing? They have stopped raising rates. The narrative is being built for rates to be cut, and we know they're going to go back to quantitative easing. Why do I know that? Because we live in a debt-based system. You see, they raise the debt ceiling. They have to keep paying for all the debt and finance the debt. Guys, once you understand all these things, it makes it so easy to navigate the markets because you have the thesis, you have the blueprint. Now, it's not that it's 100% perfect. There's going to be deviations and variables because things change, right? But for the most part, the underlying foundational thesis here that global liquidity drives asset prices the same way it drives inflation, right? That's why real estate prices go up. That's why stock prices go up and crypto prices go up. Liquidity drives the markets, and it's happening globally, and we're seeing that rise. So outside of the charts, outside of the sentiment, outside of the different signals and the things I just showed you, another one from a macro perspective is the global liquidity index. So we got to be patient and let these things play out. The money printer is coming back. The Fed, while they may not cut rates, and I have the thesis that I don't think they're going to cut rates before the election because historically we've seen the markets crash at that point. Usually something's breaking. I think it happens after the election, maybe later into next year. And then we could see a trigger into the bull market, which coincides with the four-year cycles, which will take us into that bear market in 2026. So I hope you guys understand all these different factors. I need to get a whiteboard and do a whiteboard type video to show you guys all these different factors because you can't just use one indicator or one data source. You have to use multiple data sources to validate your thesis. So guys, I'm not bearish. I'm bullish, and I'm exercising patience. And I know that's not easy, but sometimes it's good to just step away. I don't sometimes look at my portfolio for days because it's like, oh, Bitcoin's not doing anything. And I don't even want to look at the value, right? It's okay. But the point is I'm looking at these data points and saying, okay, I see a reversal here. I see what's on the horizon when it comes to these charts. I see Bitcoin is oversold on the daily. The greedy sentiment is shifting to neutral or fear. And I'm forming my thesis. Okay, we may see some sort of bounce soon and continue the bull run. So it's important to take all these things into consideration. Now, another factor, we're seeing a lot of celebrities launching meme coins, a lot of celebrities entering crypto again. And these are things we saw in prior bull markets. And here, Ronaldinho, yes, the football player, some of the United States folks know it as soccer, but outside of the United States, it's called football. Ronaldinho, it just tweeted out today, time for crypto to go mainstream. Who's with me? Wow. Now he's doing some sort of sponsorship, but these are indications of a bull market. They're not going to be doing this type of stuff in a bear market where people are fearful and running away. They know what's coming. So he's doing a sponsorship with Betify official, some crypto betting platform. By the way, I'm not endorsing this. I'm just stating what he's doing. And he's obviously one of the greatest football/soccer players in the history of the game. And the guy has 21.5 million followers on Twitter. Pretty insane. So these are signals, right? That the bull market's not over. You may say, well, hey, we might be close to the top. Sure. And I wrote a newsletter earlier this year saying we could see the blow off top by the end of this year or early 2025. So just be ready, have your cash out plan. So I hope you guys get what I'm trying to say here. All right, we got some crypto funding news, and let me give you some details, guys. Web3 recruiting network Bondex announced earlier this week it raised $10 million across rounds. According to a press release, venture capitalist firms, Animoca Brands, Morningstar, and Chainlink all participated in the rounds. The firm seeks to shift incentives and demand away from middlemen to reward and empower users and change the professional networking model so that the talent participates in the upside and economics of social network they are bringing to value, according to the press release. Bondex gamifies recruitment for both companies and job seekers by offering a token or USD bounty of up to $10,000 for successful hires. So I love, how blockchain is being used to create these incredible ecosystems that reward people. It democratizes a lot of the process. Now, other funding rounds include Sonic, a gaming-focused Solana Layer 2 network, announced its $12 million in a Series A round led by Bitcraft. Farworld Labs, a gaming consortium native to Farcaster, announced a $1.7 million pre-seed funding round led by Lemniscap and Variant Funds. Router Protocol announced an oversubscribed strategic funding round, though it didn't disclose an amount or participating firms. So, folks, we're seeing capital coming into the market. They're investing in both the coins as well as the companies building the infrastructure of the market. Now, we got some crypto hiring news. The headline reads, former BlackRock leader jumps ship to 21 shares. Let me give the details here. An executive at the world's largest asset manager has joined another ETF provider as both firms look to soon expand their crypto offerings. Federico Brocate, formerly the Americas Business Strategy Director for BlackRock's iShares, now leads 21 Shares US business. 21 Shares nabbed the BlackRock executive after both companies were among those to launch the first US spot Bitcoin ETFs in January. Brocate was responsible for BlackRock's go-to-market strategy for iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, now the largest Bitcoin fund with roughly $19.8 billion in assets. Brocade's experience across strategy, distribution, and product will be key to 21 Shares' continued success in the U.S. market, 21 Shares co-founder Ophelia Snyder said in a statement. Now, other notable hiring developments include digital art collection Azuki hired Steve Chung as its first chief operating officer as part of traditional media's transition from Web 2 to Web 3. Chung will be closely involved with the launch of Anime Chain, a anime fan-focused blockchain network, the company said. Investment firm Block Tower Capital appointed David Burke as head of client and partner strategy. Burke was previously a partner at MKP Capital and most recently a senior executive at Orchid Global. Circle has added 137 staffers since the start of 2024. Bloomberg reported this week a roughly 15% increase. The company has expressed its intent to ultimately go public. Now, I'll be interviewing Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire this week, and I'll be talking to him, asking him questions about, plans to go public and so forth. So, guys, make sure you are subscribed. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, VeChain, which is one of the top layer one enterprise blockchains out there, building incredible Web3 and decentralized applications. They're working with Boston Consulting Group, BMW, Walmart China, Givenchy, and many big brands. Go to vchain.org. Link will be in the description. Also, folks, don't forget to grab a copy of my book, Rethinking Crypto, on Amazon. Grab a copy to support the podcast. Buy a couple copies to give to your family and friends so they can learn about crypto. And also, if you have bought a copy already, please leave a rating and review. It would really support the podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you all later.